Around 2,100 flight attendants at Air Transat now have a strike mandate. They say they're unhappy with current wages and working conditions that they have at the Montreal-based airline. And all of this ahead of the upcoming holiday season, which is one of air travel's busiest. The Canadian Union of Public Employees, representing the airline's workers, say the vote for a strike was nearly unanimous, a vote of 99.8% in favor, the highest tally in the union's history. If no agreement is reached in the upcoming weeks, the strike would begin as early as January 3rd, 2024. Dominic Levasseur is in studio, president of Air Transat's Flight Attendant Union, part of CUPE. Dominic, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
So, working conditions, money. I mean, we've got big strikes in Quebec, public service. We hear that all the time here. But let's put it in the context of what's happening on planes and what's happening in airports. What do you mean?
Well, there's two factors. There's the wages that are pretty low. Since the pandemic, we didn't really get a major raise. Actually, we haven't had a raise in 2 years because we decided collectively to postpone our bargaining in the middle of Omicron, which was the bad timing for bargaining.
Wait, in the middle of Omicron, is that the
variant Omicron?
Okay. I'm so far beyond keeping track of these things, Dominic.
Yeah. So, and now we've been bargaining since April, and we haven't made any major gains regarding to wages. And starting wage is $26,000 in 2023. Living in a big city like Montreal or Toronto, you can understand it doesn't make sense.
Okay, now you have my attention here. So let's say you work for Air Transat, and you're in Toronto.
Yes.
Okay. It's $26,000 to start off
when you start. So up to 40% of our members have even 3 jobs to make ends meet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So and at $26,000, that's like full time.
It is like it's full time on call member. So they get
Where does it end up? Like, let's say you're a flight attendant, and you make this a career, and you stay there 5, 10, 15 years. You start to make this a career. Where do you end up?
Well, you said the right word. Actually, the conditions now. I believe that the flight attendant career is in danger. It's becoming a job. It used to be a career because the top earnings will make over maybe $50,000 plus, all benefits, but those are the senior people who've been there for a long time. But the starting wage is so low now that people don't even stay long enough. So we have to work on this, improve that. It's actually below minimum federal wage. If you calculate, it's $32,000 a year is minimum federal wage, and they make less. So that's a major gain we need.
How do they get away with that? How do you get away with that?
It's a loophole in the federal labor code apparently. Same with our unpaid hours. I'm sure you've heard about them. So when we show up to work, up to sometimes an hour 20 prior to you guys board the plane, we do our safety checks, security checks. The most important part of the flight. And when we welcome you at the door and accompany you or show you where your seat is, we're not paid.
It's when the doors close.
No, when the engine starts.
That's
even later.
Okay.
So when we come back, as soon as the engine stops, then we stop being paid. That means in deplaning, same thing.
So obviously you should be comparing yourself with your peers, right? So if you look at the airline industry and Canadian, U.S., North America, like what are you making about the same, or there's a big disparity?
Well, in Canada we're making about the same, and actually the whole system needs to be changed. We're the first airline actually bargaining after the pandemic. WestJet is next year, and Air Canada the following year, and all wages are starting at about the same. So we're the first one to bring the fight up. And also in the U.S., I'm sure you've heard about American Airlines cabin crew who had a 99.5% strike mandate. Yep. So the industry needs to update the way wages are. The wealth is shared.
And let's talk a bit about working conditions.
Yes.
We had a guest on this program yesterday, and it was about what's happening in airports and airlines and airplanes with cabin baggage, carry-on bags, and the tension and people fighting. And it's the flight attendants that are now on the front lines of very agitated, tense customers. You got to deal with that. So could you tell me about that aspect here? And is this, as part of this negotiation, making that part of the job easier?
Well, the point is to improve that. The example you gave, it's also at a moment where we're not paid, right? We're supposed to help. Also, one important aspect is fatigue. Our members are really fatigued. Like we can do Athens, Toronto or Athens, Montreal, which is over 10 hours and 45 minutes without having proper rest area. We don't have seats to sit and have our break unless, the plane's not full. Then we have. So this is absolutely unacceptable to our members in 2023. So that's another example of how the company should treat us as, professionals. We're trained professionals in safety, security, first aid. We're not valued.
So it sounds like you've got a case here, and 99.8% in your union said we're given a strike mandate here. Is there hope of a deal? Like, does Air Transat seem to be receptive to meeting you halfway on some issues? Where do you want that to go? Like $26,000. Where do you want that to go?
Well, we want as much as we can. Of course, we want the company to be viable. The objective is it's a contract that would benefit the employer and us, because we are in partnerships. That's how we work with them. We have a meeting today on conciliations. We are under the Federal Bureau of Conciliation. We have 2 more meetings to come next week. We're hopeful to have a deal. That's the objective. The entire union team is working hard to have a deal. The objective is not to disrupt. We know how it's expensive to travel these days. We know people save up so much money to travel. It's a specific time of the holidays. We are with the passengers. We don't want to disrupt that, but at the same time, we need respect. And I think this fight is also for the middle class. At some point, if we don't stand up for us collectively.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. It always appeared to me that a flight attendant was a job where you should be able to support a family. If you've been doing it for 10, 15 years, you should be able to support a family and, as you say, a middle-class fight.
Absolutely. Myself, I've been working for 20 years, and if I had these conditions when I started, I would maybe have found another career. But, it was sustainable, but now it isn't.
We're with Dominic Levasseur, who's president of Air Transat's flight attendant union. So is this a story now of like 20, 30 years of stagnation on wages that have led to this point?
It's 10 years. I would say it started in 2012, 2013, when the company had ups and downs financially. We were always there to help. Of course, we want our company to thrive and make profits, and we gave up on crew complement, the number of crew we have on board. We gave up on wages. We looked at different ways to have maybe the first level entry that would be lower, but they were still above minimum wage back then, which isn't the case now. That's the issue.
I look at, when I buy a ticket, right? And I know I probably do what everyone else does. They look at price first and foremost. I look, Air Canada and WestJet and Porter and Air Transat, and I'm like, oh, they'll give it to me for $7 less. So, you know what I mean? Like that's what people are doing. The airlines know that, right? So on that front, in this industry where it has become so focused on cost, is it a losing battle on that front? Because I'm trying to think about how an airline can give a ticket, that you fly halfway around the world at a certain price and then pay those livable wages, right? So how do you get what you want if the rest of the industry, right? Don't you need your fellow flight attendants at other airlines to be sort of acting in concert? Because if wages rise at only one airline, you're going to put Air Transat at a significant disadvantage cost-wise.
For sure, and we are having the support of the airline division under CUPE, which is Air Canada, WestJet, Sunwing, Pascan, Flair, all of them are with us. And at the same time, look at the cost structure as well of the airline tickets. The margins have never been so high, and the profits have never been so high. For example, at Air Transat, our third quarter was the best profitable quarter since 2015. So the company was able to improve their efficiency, but now it's time for us to get something back. I mean, getting a 20-30% increase, I don't know, I don't want to bargain with you, but considerable increase is not going to put in danger this company. I don't believe so. And if so, then they have to explain to us and we will understand. The point here is not to break the system, it's to improve it to our members, because our members are suffering. Honestly, financial insecurity, I've never lived that through my members so much since this year. People go to food banks.
Well, I mean, if you're making $26,000 in Toronto, what else are your options?
But
or even Montreal. Sorry, $26,000 in Montreal. What are you doing?
Yeah,
right?
and even 35, even 40 grand. If you have kids, what do you do? Like the majority of our members are women, and some of them have kids, and they are single women, and there's a lot of to take into account.
Part of the reason you're here is part of the reason that you're here because you want to get the public on your side because you know it's going to end up in a strike.
The objective, as I said, we don't want a strike, but we want a strike mandate, which is very important to understand the difference. Yeah. We wanted to have it prior to the end of conciliation to go back to the table and say, you know what, we're serious. We have 99.8% of the membership, 2,100 people behind us. So please hear us seriously.
Dominic Levasseur is president of Air Transat's Flight Attendant Union. We'll keep track of this, Dominic. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.